Welcome to the 2014 edition of the 90 Degree Show, hosted by the Marching Podcast and Blog Talk Radio. Advice may be misleading, but examples are always clear. And here's your host, the Phantom Podcaster himself, Joe Beard.
Good evening and welcome to the 90 Degree Show. This is your host, Joe Beard, and happy to be of service for you tonight. Today we welcome November to the network, November 2nd, 2014, 5 o'clock on the West Coast and 8 o'clock on the East Coast. We appreciate all those listening live and listening in podcast form, whether through Blog Talk Radio, our website, Facebook, Twitter, or through iTunes. At the end of the broadcast, excuse me, I got to get myself together here now. At the end of the broadcast, if you decide you like the show, then we appreciate a donation to the network, if you feel so in your heart, of course. Just simply go to themarchingpodcast.com and click on the donate button to help improve the show and help build our scholarship fund. Like I said, we welcome November to the network, and it's getting toward the end of the football season, or pretty much the meat of the football season, where things get real interesting. Playoff brackets start to evolve now. All of our little rivalries, blood rivalries or traditional rivalries, are starting to play themselves out. November is the month where the season comes to an end, and the manifestation and the combination of everything starts to happen, and everybody gets ready to go home or to go on some type of trip for the holiday. Then the last couple of classes and the last couple of weeks before finals, and everybody goes home. So tonight we are happy to talk about a lot of bands, mostly representing the East Coast tonight, and to hear about Rashad and his homecoming at Hampton. Now, there are many matchups every week, and we cannot touch them all, but you can help us by calling into the number that you see there on your screen and fill us in on your experience in a matchup that we did not see. You can call in to correct us on something or explain the feel of the crowd at the game that we are analyzing. Even if you disagree, we are all good with you calling in to do so. This is a show for the people, and just like science, we want to go through as much peer review as possible. All right, so as I drift the music down some more, we'll give you the format for the show tonight. We'll announce the People's Choice Award winner for the last week for our great Boombox Classic matchup. Please go to the website.com. Please go to the website, marchingpodcast.com, and vote on who won the matchup, and that is themarchingpodcast.com. And I will read the winner here after our first commercial break. I will bring in Rashad, and excuse me, we'll briefly talk about Jackson State, Alabama A&M. I know that was one of the games on our original schedule, and Rashad, ended up going to Hampton and seeing a lot more bands. So we'll talk briefly about that. Rashad will then come in, talk about homecoming at Hampton, touch base on that a little bit, talk about Hampton, Morgan. In the second segment, we'll talk about Virginia Union. We talk about Norfolk tonight, Elizabeth City in our final segment. And we'll have our word on the street, where we talk about, in our final segment, we'll have our word on the street, where we'll talk the 2015 lineup for the Honda Battle of the Bands. So let's go ahead and take our first commercial break. Rashad he's at another award show or another Battle of the Bands, and he'll be joining us a little bit later. So we'll go ahead and roll out and pay these bills, as they say, and get the show moving along. You can email the show at marchingpodcast@gmail.com, tweet us at marchingpodcast, or follow our blog 4.marchingpodcast.com. If you are listening live, and I'm a tad bit behind here, open moderator chat and new window, the chat room will be open here for you here in a second, though. If you're listening and you have that Blog Talk Radio account, you can log into the chat room and leave your comments there. Last and definitely not least, check out the website, themarchingpodcast.com. Let's take the time to hear from our sponsors. Tonight's show is brought to you by Liquid Effects Photography, Block Band Music and Publishing, the Edge One Productions, bandhead.org, and hbcubands.com. Let's take the time to hear from them now.
Hello, this is Brian Knowles, Associate Director of Bands at Miles College, and proud Tennessee State University grad, and proud Alabama State University grad. And you are listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network.
Having an anniversary party, birthday party, or better yet, you're about to marry that special someone? Liquid Effects Photography is the perfect choice to immortalize all your most special moments. With 10 years of dependable professional service that can deliver from the conventional to the best in cutting-edge technology and creativity. Come experience the uniqueness of Liquid Effects Photography. We serve the entire upper Midwest and will travel further upon request. Come check us out at liquideffects.com. That's LIQUIDEFFEX.com. Or call us at 773-454-5556. That's 773-454-5556.
From photo shoots to graduation pictures, from probates to band footage, from pageants to yard shows, there's only one team you can count on, the Edge One Productions. Visit theedge1.com and trust me, you won't be disappointed.
Need to write music and drill? Get it on the field. Outfit your band. Keep your administrator happy and still have a life. Encountering drama in the process, ain't nobody got time for that. Let Block Band Music assist you with musical arrangements and drills to fit your band, and also the equipment, gear, and accessories to keep the visuals, music, and marching on point. Contact blockbandmusic@gmail.com and see how this worldwide minority-owned business can uplift your band.
What if there was a Facebook for bands? Wait a minute, there is. Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org is a social network for HBCU show bands. You can create your own profile and post videos, photos, and comments on bandhead.org. Need somewhere to post events, audition schedules, job postings? Check out bandhead.org. Are you recruiting for talent? Go to bandhead.org. Bandhead.org, a social network for bands.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is DeAnthony Smullen, proud alum of the school where everybody is somebody, Grambling State University. And you're listening to the 90 Degree Show on the Marching Podcast Network.
We're back. That is Hampton playing at the Battle of the Bay. I believe that was either last week or 2 weeks ago. I know we wanted to have the Battle of the Bay on our schedule, but the tape was not out in time. But of course now the tape is out, and I've got a chance to check out the halftime show between two schools, and I was pleased. Definitely different from the SWAC or the recent momentum of bands we've been talking about. But definitely Hampton is very clean, and we're listening to him now. 718-664-6025, the 90 Degree Show, Week 10. Thank you very much for listening. We are back. Thanks again to Hampton again for bringing us back from the break. And we are ready here. We're going to dive here and talk into the show. Like I said, Rashad will be joining us a little bit later. Let's not go ahead and play around with any of the specifics, but let's go ahead and let's find out the winner from last week's People's Choice Awards. the Outstanding Boombox Classic. Had a lot of viewers, had a lot of hits, as they say, a lot of talk on the internet, heard a lot of stuff after the show. And, man, Joe, why you ain't talk about that, man? Man, you ain't know about that, man. You slipping, man. Why you ain't saying nothing, man? You know what I'm saying? Heard a whole bunch of stuff. But, yeah, just heard about a lot of different things, man. So don't really have the time to dive into it. But you are free to dive into it if you want to. 718-664-6025. You can call in. I remember my man and the guy from the drum major from the high school, he called in, people was talking about the funk online. I saw a lot of people talking about how classless Southern was. Of course, I heard a lot of people talking about how many L's that we took this weekend because, of course, Jackson State lost the football game. Just a lot of stuff. But the main thing is a lot of good, healthy talk between schools. Anytime you play Southern, they going to talk. You know what I mean? So that's just how it is. But let's go ahead and look at what the people said. Like we said, we always put it out on Twitter. Now we've been, putting our little hints out there on Facebook to the little groups we're a part of, letting them know about the voting going on throughout the week. But this week, of course, like we say, anytime you got Southern there involved, you got a lot of good, healthy responses, a lot of good feedback. So thanks to all the people for that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll into this, as we say, and find out the winner of the People's Choice Awards, Week 9, Southern Jackson State Boombox, hashtag Boombox BOTB 2014, opening the voting polls here. A lot of voting this year. I believe this is the most voting that we've had. I believe here with this new app, we got this new little app here working on our website, and we'll be closing it. But with 71% of the vote, that's right, 71% of the vote, Southern University wins the 2014 People's Choice Awards. Winner, I'm like, oh, man. But yes, 71% Southern got out there and voted. But definitely, man, the vote, like we said, it was for the entire weekend, the Battle of the Bands, the halftime show, the fifth quarter, the zero quarter, all in all. I felt that Southern may have got a little tired there towards the end, but it was very close to call. But shout out to all the people that got on and voted. Your participation is much appreciated. But yes, we'll go ahead and update there at our blog. Southern taps out Jackson State University there in the 2014 Battle of the Bands, the Boombox Classic. All right, so let's go ahead. We're moving on. Thanks to all the people in the chat room. If you're there, I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the matchup that I saw from this weekend. I saw Jackson State. Well, actually, I've seen a lot of the other bands that we talked about tonight. I talked to Rashad, and he was saying all the bands, that we put on the list tonight, or on our little trailer, if you want to call it, our little verbal trailer, if you want to call it. We put all the information out there. So I've seen all of the bands that we're going to talk about tonight. So, I'll be able to say my little piece in there here and there based on past performances. And I really wanted to check out that Battle of the Bay like I led on earlier tonight. We had that on the schedule but didn't have the tape out. So it was good to finally see that matchup and good to see that halftime show. And it's one thing that I love about doing this. It really forces me to see all the bands, all the CIAA, all the MEAC, all the SEAC. It just doesn't keep me in the SWAC or just following Jackson State every weekend or, the bands that we quote unquote would know or call. But yes, and then you see the range. We do have range here in our show style bands, as we call it. So definitely something to invest to and push behind. So I'll go ahead and talk about what I saw. Jackson State played Alabama State this weekend, and it was obviously the senior night. It was the last home performance for the Sonic Boom of the South, so it's kind of sad for all those seniors. I remember my last senior performance. I was not a senior. I did not march 4 years in the band. I was a transfer from Johnson C. Smith, so that was my fourth year in college, that third year. But, yes, it was my fifth year when I finally got up out of undergrad. So, I didn't get the chance to stand out in front of the band. And the main thing that jumped out in front of me, just let me say, the band looks good. Jackson State, you guys look good, clean, the new uniforms or the different uniforms from when I was there, like that white on the breast. Somebody calling me here on the phone. I'm live doing a show. Hit me up on the show. But yeah, all of those things, it stood out to me. Blowing, the Dow Taylor era, they're doing pretty good with their precision. So, I give my hats off to them. The boom looks good, and they're deep. So, the thing, like I said, it was the seniors performance. And one thing that jumped out in front of me, that the seniors came out and the guys were like at attention, or basically they took the helmets off and they waved. But I remember when the seniors used to put their arms around each other and they used to kick, and then they hit the pole. Now Wavy Dave is not there anymore, bless his heart. And he would always run into the goalpost on all our games. And then, of course, he became part of our band halftime show, talk about house and, talk about doing little stuff. We always had the little baby tigers out there doing something, and then they run and hit the post. But, yeah, the seniors did it, and I believe the class of 94 was the Crabs of 94, class 94, whatever you want to call it. I think they were the first class to jump in front of the pole and then run back in their place. Of course, the band would play, It's So Hard to Say Goodbye, and then they'd hold not the last note, but they'd hold the note before the last phrase or whatever, and the seniors would hit the pole. That's not the case anymore, and, the seniors kind of just wave their hands. But other than just hitting the JSU and good precision, that was pretty much it, and that's really all that they needed. Alabama A&M, their big performance was last weekend, the Magic City Classic, and I don't know, they just look kind of tired. I don't want to say they mailed it in, but I was really expecting, when I saw the schedule preseason, or especially when we did this show, that I was like, oh, the Alabama A&M Jackson State boy, they got to be ready. I think they sound good, but I don't know if they were tired, or it may be a lot to get up for your blood brother rival one weekend and then come back to Jackson State the following week, But I don't know. They did look fatigued. I could have seen more out of them, or just expecting more out of them. But, it was a lot to say. Their drill was not precise. And it was funny because you hear the announcer say, yes, precision, Jackson State. This is no, brother. It was not precision. It was not what y'all were doing. A lot of crooked lines. It was just a feeling that they just brought on the field. It just wasn't one of their best performances, or just wasn't a good day for them. They sound good, and they've not added a whole lot of power from what they sounded like at the beginning of the year, but they still sound good. They still have good volume or whatever, but it's just not the power behind the volume in their sound. And I think that's a good. I think they had a very good dance routine, very good energy. I don't think that they took command of the performance, though. I don't think they took the crowd per se. Or, like I said, it was just some fatigue, something holding them back, or just something where, it was just something they couldn't really deal with. We talked about them last year, leaving some things out there on the table, but it's still there as far as Alabama A&M. They're on the come up, and they sound good, and, you want them to do well. They've been snatching people by the neck. I definitely need to check out the Magic City Classic from last weekend, just from seeing them this weekend. I'm like, oh, I got to check them out from last weekend and see what happened. If you were there, or if anyone knows about the Magic City, please call in and break me down. Let me know, 718-664-6025. But, yeah, just not from what I always expect from them. What I expect from them now. I really like Alabama A&M, so I expect for them to come with the wickedness, with the cleanness, so to speak. So, but yeah, just I think I gave it to the Boom just from basic on the precision, and the drill was not all of that. The Boom, of course, tugged at our hearts a little bit with the seniors, but they still had a good, precise show in their drill going into the JSU, better than what Alabama A&M did. Just the execution for overall was better for Jackson State. I didn't see a fifth quarter. Again, probably Alabama A&M may have been tired or may have been, getting out of there. And I did see a little bit of the zero quarter, but not enough to say, oh, this band, won this band. Alabama A&M did play Partition, and, that's an okay version. I do like Jackson State's version of that better. Jackson State did not choose to play it back at them, though. They played another song, like forceful, fearful sounding song, and but still not enough to say, oh, Jackson State still took an L. They're louder, they're much more powerful, and they have much more numbers than Alabama A&M. So just by, the looks and just by intimidation, you would think that, Alabama might be out there for a long day. But still, they held their own from what we saw. And I'm sure that, if they had a fifth or long, it would have been, pretty decent, I believe. Alabama wouldn't stay I don't think they're not running from anybody. So, again, really good performance, though, from both schools. But I still gave the edge to the Boom, though, again, mostly on precision and execution. All right. We've got that person from the 919 area code in here calling in. Let's see here. Rashad, is that you, man?
That is me, brother. What's happening, man?
I'm doing all right, man. Just finished talking about Jackson State and Alabama A&M, and
okay.
Just saw the halftime show and a little bit of the zero quarter or whatnot. But yeah, I gave the folks the format of the show, and we updated the little trail or whatever, talking about it. But right before we get into that, why don't you tell us, man, how was homecoming for the great Hampton University?
Oh, man, had a good time there, brother, man. They let an old man, get out there and embarrass himself a little bit. So that was cool, man. I was in the alumni band that we had. We had some pretty good numbers there. We had about 8 trombones or so. I think we were the biggest wind section, 3 tubas and, some other folk there. So it was good. The Hampton for 100 campaign worked out well. We ended up giving over $1,300 for the band, and that's just from just over 2 weeks of fundraising for the band program. Then the alumni band also provided some things. So between the two of us, we gave $2,500 to Hampton's band, but that's a small number as compared to what we're doing in the future.
That's right, man. You talked about it, when we get this thing going, and, just like even at this show, it was only my folks listening, but now, even with you. And then shout out to all the people not only listening, but hey, Rashad and I talk, we definitely want another voice out here that we can talk to. We definitely would like another female voice. But anyone out, want to be a part of the show, you are definitely welcome here to call in and talk these bands with us. And we'll definitely let you know and hook you up with all the information so we all good. But that's all good, man. You had a good time with the alumni band. What about seeing everybody? Did you touch base with all your peoples and everything?
Oh, yes, sir, man. Definitely saw so many people there, man. And it's amazing how people, they do want to give back. All over the nation, you just got to talk to them, and you just got to provide a way for them to get back. We talked about that. I talked to some people also about coming together, not just for our specific bands, but also across the nation in one organization that can make a difference. For example, oh man, it's the good stuff. I hear band playing out here. I love it. Anyway, but like for example, when I get into the analysis, we'll get into the fact that it was one of the most boring games of all time. And some of that had to do with the fact that the MEAC has certain rules where it seems like you can't play ever. And so, there needs to be an organization in place to when the MEAC and these other conferences do dumb things like cut their own selves off at the neck. Because who wants to come to a football game to see our incredible football talent? Come on now. They're
Right.
here for the environment that's at a black college game, and the band playing is a big part of that. There needs to be an organization in place to say, hey, no, we're not going to come to the game if you don't let the bands play. But anyway, you asked me about homecoming, so I had a chance to kind of talk to people about that and kind of put that in their ear a little bit too, so it was cool.
That's cool, man. And, that's what we do here on the network. We are, definitely creating projects here to enhance what we're doing and enhance our craft. So, any ideas, you let us know. And, we'll definitely have our platform here to be letting other show-style folks know and what we're doing. We're a family here, but like we said, this is still, peer review. We want to go through as much peer review as possible as, we develop what we're doing. So that's outstanding, man. So as far as the bands go, I know that I got to check out Hampton at the Battle of the Bay. That halftime performance is now out there. How did you get a chance to check out the halftime show for Hampton and Morgan?
Yes, sir. I saw both bands.
Okay. Tell us how it was, man.
Okay. Well, even starting out, 'cause I was there for the whole thing, man. Morgan is the best kept secret. I said that's the best. I said before that Everett Waters College is the best kept secret in the show-style bands. I was wrong. Morgan State is the best kept secret in show-style bands. Okay. I say that not to discredit Everett Waters or to say that Morgan is better. I just say that to say that people have seen Everett Waters a little bit. They've heard of Everett Waters a little bit, but pretty much nowadays nobody really looks any further north than Virginia for bands. That's just what's going on. If Dale State's doing anything, nobody knows about it. And the same thing has been with Morgan State. But dude, the Morgan State that I saw yesterday is not the Morgan State that I played against several times when I was in school. They have a tremendous sound. I wonder if they've got new leadership because they don't sound the same at all. They've got a tremendously full trombone section, the Legion of Bones, who are always notorious. Good battle from Slide Force from Hampton back when I was in school. They've got a very strong trombone section there, but the trumpets are no weaklings. Need to work on that tuba section a little bit. And the baritones are great on melodies, but I can't really hear them on the chords. But their halftime show was very exciting. They are not the best marching.
Oh, man. Rashad's call dropped right in the middle of what he was talking about. Morgan. I saw Morgan myself at Morgan versus Norfolk. I'm sure that Rashad will call right back. But I saw Morgan, and shout out to Double Time Entertainment. I've watched a couple of their videos, and my man always has a nice little, beat. Very similar to us here. We try to transition with the instrumental music, but he always has a nice little beat on his videos. We saw Morgan against Norfolk State, and I was complimenting Rashad here. They sound good, and they look good. They have great spacing, and they play very well together. I'm a fan of the Morgan States, the Savannah States. Miles is getting kind of big now, but these bands understand spacing and playing well together. They do not lose your attention. Arrangements are good, and they have the great energy. And the video that I saw, they were marching pretty well. May have had a different take than what Rashad saw there at the beginning, or even there live, or maybe some of the pressure got to him hitting someone's homecoming. But I have to say, I love the drill that they did that I saw. They had these backward steps, very precise drills, mirroring on either sides of the fields. So they had me, and just like you guys who listen to this show, you know me. If you bust out an outstanding or precise drill, you almost got the show. You like 65% for me, you know what I'm saying? So their transition into their dance formation, they have these exaggerated steps where it's like they dip all the way down and they dip out a whole, like, very exaggerated outward dip, like backwards on a pivot type of to the rear type of movement, and then they get back to the first count. But it really gives a visual effect, the color flash. They have capes They're blue and orange, and they have those orange capes, I believe. And when they're in those company lines, the entire line shifts in a particular direction, and the other line goes in the opposite direction. So, like, the piston visual effect there is just outstanding. But definitely reiterating Rashad, and definitely, hopefully, I'm sure he'll get back on the line with us. But just reiterating, they are definitely a best-kept secret. So we definitely want to give Morgan here some props here on the Marching Podcast Network. Morgan State also, there are alumni there. Jared Carter Sr., the owner and founder there of HBCU Digest, he went to Morgan there, and I know, he always talked about, I always seem to get Morgan and Bowie State confused, just like that over there, East Coast type of thing, but I always get them confused. But definitely Morgan, I love them. I love Morgan. I love the Savannah States, but those small school bands, and I think I can really feel it, especially because, I went to Smith myself. It's tough being in a small band. You grew up like me watching Jackson State, and you just always see numbers and just a choir of sound. But then when you're actually out there in a college field, in your smaller programs, it means a lot when you actually see that type of product. So shout out to Morgan, shout out to your directors, shout out to all those small schools on the East Coast doing well with spacing and sounding real good, sounding good together. That quality definitely goes unnoticed. It's outstanding to see, and it's just a lovely thing to see. We got Rashad back on the line here. Rashad, I actually picked up a little bit talking about Morgan. I'm just piggyback on what you're saying, just talking about how good they were and what I saw, and just how pleased I was with Morgan.
Yeah, I decided to take a quick commercial break real fast, so my bad.
I understand.
Lost
here,
power.
man.
Lost power
cool.
on the phone, so I'll actually be calling you. I'll actually be calling in a second from another phone as well. So when I call in on that one, I'll just switch over to that one. But,
That's what's up. We got. Let me get this. Let me take this caller here right quick. We got someone from the 804 area code, at Virginia area code, I believe. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from tonight?
How we doing? My name is Bernard Bradley, band director at Kings Fork High School in Suffolk, Virginia.
Oh
what's
man,
going on, man?
Bernard, you calling to get that money, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, we're not even doing all that. We're not even doing all that. I just wanted to make sure we got that particular part of the show. But I'm just calling by, just listening.
Well, thanks, man. We really appreciate it. We love to hear the band directors call in, or we love to hear when the students call in. You say you're out there in Virginia, you say, right?
Yes, Kings Fork High School, host of the Kings Fork High School, host of the 5th annual Kendall Classic Battle of the Bands, which hosted parts, looks like some of the topics tonight, Norfolk State, Virginia Union, and Elizabeth City State.
Okay, yeah, because Rashad, I talked to him today, and he gave me that list, and I said, okay, that sounds pretty good. So I said he must have seen them somewhere, but that's outstanding. You get the guy to funnel this event a little bit more. As we grow on the network, we definitely want to make sure that we attend more of these events. So I have to ask you, well, let me ask you right quick, if you don't mind me asking, what school did you go to?
I'm also a Hampton University alum.
Oh, okay. Well, hey,
take it over, baby. Take it over.
I know. Well, it's glad to have you on. Were you there at the homecoming festivities as well?
I really didn't get a chance to partake much in the homecoming festivities this weekend due to us having the commitment of getting ready for our band competition. But I've heard a lot of different things either way on both sides of the coin. So here, just talking with a lot of various alumni and listening to a lot of Morgan friends of mine. Shout out to Phi Mu Alpha, Pi Eta chapter, Pi Beta chapters. Just get a lot of feedback from the game. But I didn't get a chance to actually hear or see anything myself.
Okay, I'll say. Well, hey, man, you got a great voice there, a great direction there. So I want to ask you right quick, since we can touch base. What did you think about the college bands that you saw there at the Battle of the Bands? Because I know we're going to talk about them, and since we got you on here right fast, we can just touch base on what you saw. Because I've actually seen Virginia Union. I saw them, not in person, I saw the video. But what did you think about the college bands there this weekend?
Well, I want to go ahead and start with this. The premature demise of the Spartan Legion was greatly exaggerated. Even though they are a bit smaller than previous years and previous incarnations, they are still a strong unit. They make a pretty strong and very quality sound. Again, they do have a tendency to overblow at times, in my opinion. But again, the standard Legion sound is still there, just in a smaller form. I do feel like they could use a few more of the middle voices, that trombone, that mellophone, that baritone line to really thicken things up, because they still have a strong trumpet section. They have a very strong tuba section this year, but they can use more of those middle voices to help strengthen up that band.
Okay. And what do you think about Virginia Union?
Virginia Union, I will definitely say they're coming a long way from the first couple of seasons. While they're not quite as exciting to watch as some of the other groups, you can tell they play with a very balanced, very clean sound. And once that group really starts kicking off, I really think we're going to really enjoy the product for years to come. But they're starting off clean, and like I said, they're going to add more excitement once the years go by. But like I said, they're going to be something to watch out for.
Yeah, one thing for me, I was going to say one thing for me that jumped about Virginia Union is those colors, that gray, those uniforms. You know, I really like that color gray and those uniforms. So I know they definitely, like you say, they may be starting with something, but definitely you look a certain way, you look good. You know what I'm saying? I know they start out with that. So what you think about Elizabeth City? Yeah, I mean, they look good from what I saw. What you think about Elizabeth City? Because I know we talked about them before on the network.
Oh, yes, Elizabeth City State University. Ms. Brock, she's actually come by quite a few times to audition some of my students. Great person to work with. I definitely enjoy working with her. And they also had a nice, clean sound. You can tell they're playing stronger than they were earlier this season. They're pushing out a few more watts. And like I said, their instrumentation, particularly on the lower end, is really starting to pick up. They can get a few more of those upper voices to really start chiming in more. They're going to be something very serious. She's got the band playing clean. She's got them playing strong. Like I said, get more on that upper end, and they'll really start getting a few more points there. But they're definitely a band on that come up.
Well, that's what's up, man. I know we've been watching Elizabeth City the last couple of years, and we've enjoying what we're seeing. So I have to ask you this right before we let you go. We really appreciate you being on the show tonight. Or we can actually keep you on, if however you would like, because I know we're going to get into the pre-analysis of the event. And since you were there, you can chime in as well. But what do you think? Who do you think out of all those college bands was the most impressive to you?
I will say, based off what they've been through this particular season, I'm going to have to give Norfolk State a nod, only because of a lot of the issues that happened early in the season, the change in directors, things like that. Shout out to their staff. They're holding things together, and they are doing a good job of what they have. And like I said, with some of the recruitment tactics that they use, particularly with the various cameras, which I hope you'll see the show very soon, I'm impressed with what they're doing to keep things together and hopefully continue to see a bigger and stronger future for the Spartan Legion in the years to come.
Okay, so right quick, you said that they're doing something with cameras in their recruiting?
I'll say this. I've never seen a drone. They actually had a drone hover above the group. Some of us have come used to seeing, cameras on instrument players, things like that. They had a couple of those. But when I saw them put a drone in the air at the competition and kind of have that aerial view, I was like, I haven't seen this one yet. So.
Oh, that's dope. That's super dope. So
I guess
different. That's outstanding. I'm glad you said that. And you heard it here first, America and the world. So thanks here. Like I said, you're welcome to stay on the show if you want to chime in with something. We actually have another caller here, Rashad, in the 919. Yeah, the 919 area code. Caller, you're on the show. What's your name and where you calling from tonight?
Stephanie, bro.
Oh, that's me. You want me to let you go from the other one?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, the reason that Bernard called in today is because I sponsored his beautiful first place 5-foot tall trophy, but I was supposed to give him the money when I saw him. And so he tracked me down. He also paid for my meal at the competition, so he's doubly like, yeah, I'm calling into the show tonight. I know where Rashad is.
Hey, we're good, man. We're good, Fred. I know you're good people, so we're good, man.
I got to check me in the mail on Monday, bro. Oh boy, well, go ahead.
Well, yeah. Well, I was gonna say, man. I was gonna go ahead and let you take back over. We'll roll back to Hampton, and we talk about Morgan. You saying Morgan? You left out saying Morgan was the best kept secret.
Yeah. So they are definitely not a band that you want to just not prepare for at all, because they have an exciting show. They have a really good sound, very powerful sound. Being in the alumni band, we actually sit on the opposite side of Hampton's current band. So we were actually on the same side that Morgan State was on.
Okay.
And but we could still hear them very, very well several times when they were cranking up, at least at the beginning of the game. And once again, that trombone section was really the main source of that sound that you kept hearing over there. As far as on the field is concerned, like I was saying, before my phone decided to take a break, they're not the best marching. You're not going to see Jackson State on the field when it comes to the marching. That's something that definitely needs to spend a lot of time on, working on those turns, working on the marching style and things like that. And once again, like I said, it was just something with the baritones. I don't know if it's with the arranging or what, but it's like you get this really strong kind of trombone sound, and the baritones are on it as well in the melody. But when it comes to chords, the chords are not full. It's like it's like right in that second trombone, first trombone, that's real strong, but right towards the bottom, it's not like that. We talked about that kind of a little bit with FAMU last year. And so but I don't think it's a weakness like I had in FAMU. It may just be with the arranging, I don't know. Tuba section needs to bring it out a little bit more. Definitely, as we were on the same side as them, we could hear the trombones, but the tuba section, we really couldn't hear them that much. Percussion section, for all you percussionists out there, watch out for Morgan State. They've got 8 bass drums. They've got every single size of bass drum that they make. And they are, I mean, those cats can play, man. That's if I'm not mistaken, that's the hit squad over there. And I was impressed. I kept asking people, like, when did that happen? Because once again, when I was in school, but Joe, I think that, me and you, as we get older, we kind of forget that, I started, as of next year, I would have started at Hampton 20 years ago. So maybe some of the things that happened 20 years ago are not relevant anymore.
Wow, that is 20 years for us, huh? Man, I didn't even realize. I looked at the calendar. Wow.
You're every year, though, so that's cool.
That's right. Wow, that crept up on me a little bit.
Yeah, dude, 20 years crept up on you.
Telling on the ages, everybody.
What'd you say?
Everybody? I said, telling on the ages, everybody.
One other thing, Joe, you'll be happy about this. Morgan, I didn't know this either. Morgan is also doing the hybrid style. So they are also doing some things in order to make sure that the instruments are facing the front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really enjoy that. And I was telling right when you got disconnected that I really liked them. I saw them against Norfolk State, and they had really good spacing, and they play together. And that's what I was saying. They remind me of the Savannah States and what Miles kind of Miles is getting kind of big, but what Miles kind of remind me of. But yeah, I really like how those small bands are able to come up with that product, So what did you think about Hampton?
Hampton, okay. Hampton, so that I can still come back to homecoming next year. There's some things as far as blend is concerned that is not really coming through. some bands, how should I say, as they are going throughout the years, they may change their identity a little bit. But it seems that how Hampton is approaching their sound is still the same as it's been, since years ago. But they're just not hitting that same sound as they have in the past. And I think blend is really a major thing. You hear a lot of people trying to play their part individually instead of playing together as a section. This is something in particular I mentioned this with the North Carolina versus Virginia Battle of Bands that happened earlier, where the mellophones are really, really just really trying to overcompensate. There's only two of them, but they don't have to do what they're doing. They don't have to push so hard. They don't have to, because what ends up happening, there's no instrument in the whole band that can sync your entire band like a mellophone.
Right.
Just the nature of the instrument allows for wild out of tuneness. And if you don't control it, it will do that to you. And there are times where things are kind of out of tune in the mellophones, but they're kind of sticking out. But it's not an issue that's not across the board in the band. Tuba section sounds very full, but just as far as blend is concerned, they just need to. I'm not sure what's happening there, but they just need to continue to work on creating a sound of unity. There are also a couple of things as far as like the direction of the sound. Even Shay was there with me, and she pointed out she said I don't like the sound going all over the place because they were, as far as making some of those turns at different times, and the sound was going this way, or some, like in a squad, one person was going one way and three other people were going the other way, and then two and then three. And maybe it didn't necessarily work with what they were playing at the time. Pretty decent dance routine overall. The show that they did was the show was actually dedicated to Barney Smart, who passed away in 2004, who was my band director. And so they did a lot of music that I actually, was very familiar with because it was everything that he actually had arranged. So they did a decent job with it, but just like I said, just the overall blend was not as good. So I hate to even say this because I never thought in my days when I was in school this would be possible, but I would have to give the win to Morgan.
Yeah, I was wondering. You kind of set it up kind of that way, and it was kind of how you were driving with your words. And I was wondering. It sounded like Morgan, though. Kind of really surprised them. So yeah, that's what it kind of sounds like. I know I can't really say because I wasn't there, but Morgan definitely jumped out at me. More than I say Hampton. I do love Hampton's hybrid style. And I like their intro that they did in the Battle of the Bay, where they did they do the thing where they started out marching and then they stopped and pointed their horns up in the introduction? Did Hampton do that?
In their show and turn around real slow?
Yeah. They did that. I like that.
Yeah, the HU fans, that whole deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been on for years and years.
Yeah, man, I enjoy that. But like I said, Morgan kind of surprised me. Brother, let me get your first name again. I got your last name. What's your first name again?
Bernard.
Bernard, okay. I'm going to put Bernard and Rashad here. Got my little transition music going in the background. It's about to cut us off, go to commercial. I'm going to put Bernard and Rashad here on break and bring them back after we can touch base on Hampton if you guys want to a little bit more, but we'll definitely get into the Battle of the Bands then before we close out. And then our word on the street, y'all, talking about the 2015 Honda Battle of the Bands. Also, too, probably we'll get into it more next week, but Drumline 2 came out. I was expecting it to be in the theaters, but it was on VH1. So I guess I missed the flash on that. So we may look on that and, all you people that haven't seen it, let them know so we can talk about it next week. But I'm going to put them here on pause. You're at the 90 Degree Show, Week 10, Hampton's Homecoming. We'll be back. Thanks for listening.
Hello, this is Brenda Henty, teacher at Emmanuel Lutheran School in Olivet, Missouri, and proud graduate of Concordia University, Chicago, Illinois, 1987. You are listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network.
From photo shoots to graduation pictures, from probates to band footage, from pageants to yard shows, there's only one team you can count on, the Edge One Productions. Visit theedge1.com and trust me, you won't be disappointed.
Band directors, have you ever found yourselves in this situation? Showtime is quickly approaching. Your budget is quickly disappearing. Your music choices are narrowing. The equipment condition is wearing and your stress level is mounting. Stop what you're doing and contact Block Band Music and find out how we've got you. Check www.blockbandmusic.com, providing music, equipment, gear, and accessories to show style, core style, and traditional bands worldwide.
Hello, this is Christine Nayo-Katzman, CEO and publisher of Halftime Magazine, and you are listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network.
We're back. You're listening to Morgan State against Norfolk State. Bring Bernard and Rashad back in here. But yeah, Morgan State surprised us all. I really enjoyed their performance here. 718-664-6025. You're welcome to call in. Thanks to all the people in the chat room. Shout out to you, Tyrone. What's going on? Tyrone is chilling in the chat room from the 8 to 5 guys, the awesome 8 to 5 guys. Check them out, marching8to5.com. And we are talking Hampton's homecoming. Rashad kind of gave Hampton the edge. But no, have you seen Morgan this year?
I have seen clips of Morgan, but I have yet to see them in person. And unfortunately, with this competition, I was actually looking forward to seeing them. But I have heard a lot of positive comments. And like Rashad had said earlier, at least I've seen the clips I've seen. Yes, the marching, you can tell it's a lot of youth in the group, and the marching is not their strongest aspect. But their sound, their quality is definitely on the come-up. They like to play clean, and they do a good job with it. Yes, they can address their balance more, especially getting those lower voices, that baritone, that second bone part. They have third trombone parts. They could use more of those to help thicken up the sound. Maybe bring the first down just a tad and get a little bit more tuba. But, again, Morgan is definitely coming through and surprising a lot of folks.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And you always like to hear, like I say, we always like to hear about the Morgans and those schools that we don't hear traditionally a lot about. So, Rashad, I'll go ahead and kind of let the two of you guys kind of talk about the Battle of the Bands. Right fast for me, I saw Norfolk. I saw a couple of tapes of them this year. And one thing that jumps out to me, and it's similar to Hampton, is that erect style. You know, y'all are like straight up, like at attention, straight up and down, 90 degrees, and you march the same way, that stiffness, and you keep that stiffness all the way throughout. And I noticed like that strict stance, but definitely the sound, you know, not a lot of the mature sound. And I know that they look good. I mean, like I say, they're uniform, and I think that, you know, they keep their band together. And those black drum heads, those are dope. I really like that. But, you know, I don't think they sound as good as Morgan does, or like, you know, like they have individual parts or people that stick out here and there. But, yeah, just not what I was really expecting. And then Virginia Union, like Bernard said, you know, they're on a come up, but definitely I know that they're like developing program. I think in '96 when I was at Smith, we played Virginia Union, and it was like 12 people on the field. I do like that gray uniform. I do like their colors. I like how they look too. But yeah, definitely, it's something they're still developing. And then of course Elizabeth City, we've given them a lot of props. The husband-wife combo up there, really excited about how they look. But just like Morgan, Livingstone, Savannah's, all those bands that I like to put up here on the network, they're doing their thing. So we heard Bernard. His analysis of those bands. Rashad, I'll go ahead and give it to you. And again, like you guys, as you guys, recap the event, feel free to go ahead and, talk, as you guys are able to, make us relive the event, so to speak. So I give you the floor, Rashad.
Okay. Oh, I came in just break. I think you said I gave Hampton the edge, but it was Morgan that I gave the edge.
Morgan, right. My bad, Morgan.
All right, so okay, if you wanted to help you relive the event, well, Norfolk thought that they were doing an exhibition or perhaps an exposition. Bernard actually had to come and cut him off. That was funny.
Oh yes.
Wrap it up, because they were literally on the field on the court about 20 minutes, I think.
Wow.
It ended up being an indoor event because of the weather. So everybody was inside. And let's see here. First of all, they came in marching very, very, very well. Like you said, that very erect, very disciplined style. Everybody marches exactly the same. You got to love it. Norfolk State is still one of the best marching bands that you're going to see. They march extremely precise. I would love to see them in Southern or Jackson, for just from a marching perspective. They're so, let's see here, very good sound. I will say though that the event being inside was to the detriment of Norfolk State, because they have a big. I don't think it's that their percussion section doesn't play with control, but they have a relatively big percussion section that does hurt them inside. On the outside, I don't think that's a problem, but on the inside, what ends up happening is that the sound of the drums reverberates throughout a stadium, whereas brass instruments only go straight ahead. So when you're outside, the sound of the drums goes everywhere, and so it's not overwhelming. But when you're inside, sound is contained, and so it can become overwhelming. It was never too loud, but it definitely took away from the full impact of the brass section that you would have expected. But they did a very good job, very clean sound. Let's see. Oh, and they also, of course, they didn't really do a lot of maneuvers because they were kind of contained in one spot. But they would hit these to the boxes that you call in court-style bands, where you would, take a step out and pop your horn to the air, and they pop it to the press box, and they would do that type of stuff, and the crowd was really, really what they were doing there. Let me see here. After they did their drill, and I think they did a dance girl number as well, and perhaps a flag girl number, and basically they did a whole show, and then they had $1 Million Funk Squad come out, and they did a performance. I know people would say, that's a style thing, or that's an opinion thing, or something like that. I've never really been the greatest fan of NDFS because I like the fact that they're very technical, but I think they can be sometimes lacking in the showmanship part of it. Like they dance and things.
What's NBFS? What is that?
$1 Million Funk Squad.
Oh, okay. My bad. I didn't know. Okay.
$1 million is one of the top drum lines for years and years in show style bands, but they play extremely well. But we always go back to we still are show style bands, which means that no matter how well we play, we still have to put a show on. One of the things that was missing they do this cadence called 2 hits and pass. 2 hits and pass. And that's kind of groovy a little bit. And what happens is the snare players look like, I don't know, they roll the blunt and pass it down the line.
Wow,
but,
really?
What to do, though, is they did a stick toss. Like they would take a stick and move it all the way down the line, and the person on the end would toss the stick back, and they would do that several times.
Oh,
That's
nice.
really what, because I hadn't seen that in a while. You know, that's something that drum rounds used to do a lot. I hadn't seen it in a while. They didn't do that. And so the show was just kind of, okay, that was cool. Versus, I guarantee, you know, if Cold Steel had come there, Cold Steel would not, that's A&T, would not come close to the level of playing that $1 Million Phone Squad would have done. But the show would have been entertaining, you know. And this is the all walk in show style bands. We need to be musical, but we have to be entertaining while we're being musical, or we're not show style bands. So, after that, they brought the tuba section out, and tuba section, very round sound, very full sound. Really enjoyed that. I think it's about 8 of them, and wow, they sounded good. They even, and they marched out from either corner of the stadium playing Debo.
That's pretty tight.
And one dude was like hitting these really deep type notes, and that was really the crowd was loving that. So tuba players,
wow.
About the high note, shorty. It's about those low notes. That's what. If you're a tuba player, it's not about how high you can play. It's about how low you can play. That's really what impresses people. But they played a couple little short things, and then they did How do you know how you say the name of this song? Loveee. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Future and Rihanna.
Oh yeah, it's contemporary. No, I definitely don't know that.
Love, Loveee, love. You want that song?
Oh, that was beautiful, my friend. That was absolutely beautiful. I do want to make one mention as he's going on throughout these sections. As it was a Kings Fork event, at the current time, he did mention I had to actually cut the band off. During a good portion of the near end of the performance, this was when I was actually in my office printing out the composite sheets for the performing competing groups. So that's probably why I didn't get a chance to get to them earlier, because 20 minutes on the floor, that was closer to 25-30 at that point.
Wow.
But I was busy printing composite sheets, which is why I didn't get to them until a bit later throughout their show.
Yeah, we definitely have to make sure that, the colleges don't take the shine away from these high school events. This is now kind of another story now, of another college being on the field for longer than they should have. We definitely need to let the high school kids do their performance. That's why they're there. We already know that, Miles, or, we already understand that Virginia Union or some of these other bands are doing their thing. We can see it on YouTube. We even talk about it on this show. But the high school bands is, what they're there for. They want to show you, their performance. So let's definitely think about that. Let's spread the word, y'all, as we think about that here. Rashad, go ahead, man. So do you go into the next band, or where were you in the analysis?
The tuba thing, that Lovey that they played was beautiful.
Oh yeah, okay,
man.
yeah.
Girls in the audience were singing, and it was a beautiful sound, nice thick rich chords from the tuba. I thought the arrangement was a little dull because it was only background tubas playing chords and the main guy playing keys, and more with that, maybe verse or something. But then they went to the euphoniums, and that they. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you kind of going in and out. Yeah, you kind of going in and out a little bit.
It's not me. It's somebody getting in their car or something, so it's cutting me. It's drowning me out.
I apologize. I was getting out of my car. I apologize.
He was
Wendy's real quick. But let me see here.
the next they brought the euphoniums out, and they really could have saved that because euphonium fanfares. Let's just put this on record. Euphonium fanfares are never good. Like trombone fanfares are beautiful. Tubas, trumpets, they're great. Mellophones and baritones just don't. I mean, they just went, That was it.
Wow.
And they did two just to show how loud they were, and it's like, dog, like, just go away. Don't do that. But then after that, Bernard had to, lay the smack down real quick, and so that was it. We didn't get the chance to hear trombones or anybody else. So. But that was Norfolk. Again, great job, and I really look forward to what they're going to do. I agree completely with Bernard. Trumpet section is very, very strong, and they're lacking, particularly in trombones right now. They need more trombone sound to balance that trumpet sound, because that trumpet sound is just, they've got some beast in those trumpets, man, I'm telling you. Just in part of power, not even with screaming, just power. I mean, you can watch those guys. They're just forcing the air through those horns, man. So they've got some good players. Now on to Virginia Union.
Yes.
So you see Virginia Union come on the field, you notice, once again, you can see immediately the difference between Virginia Union and Norfolk State. I mean, they look good coming on, but it's hard to look as good as Norfolk State marching on the field. I mean, the distinction is clear right then. However, I will give the advantage for Virginia Union was, again, with the percussion section. With them having a smaller band but also a smaller percussion section, you didn't notice the percussion section drowning out the band or taking away from the sound of the band. The band, every single person in the band, you could hear them versus kind of that sound competing with another instrument. I really, really enjoyed them. Once again, full disclosure, they ended up doing about half of their stuff was from block band. So let me put that out there. But that doesn't mean it's good. Trust me. It doesn't mean you still got to play it. The most interesting thing they did All I Do, arrangement of All I Do by Stevie Wonder, which I think we did. They changed it a little bit if they did. I couldn't recognize it immediately because the mellophones are not that strong. There's some important things that go on there. But what they would do is they would take breaks in the middle, and they had their featured twirler, which was a guy, throw the baton way up in the air and catch it and do all kinds of things. They had that happen twice. So he did a really great job. From there, later on, they went into conga, which is our arrangement. And in the past, I had kind of been like, okay, why did you choose this? Like, you've got a really small band, you've got a really young band. Of all the songs in the world, why would you play conga? Particularly since, Joe, our arrangement of conga is in E minor.
Oh, ouch.
Original E minor. So there is nothing easy about this song at all. Why would you play it? And at that tempo. Joe, they did it, man.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't perfect. It was not perfect. But it was a very, very, very good attempt at playing that song.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly got into the later parts. That type of stuff, like in the middle part of the song, they were killing it, Joe. I was very, very impressed. I had to shake the band director's hand for doing a great job with that, and also shout out to former block band arranger Stanley Holloway, who's on the fifth quarter. I think he's the pick player, I think is his name on there. So shout out to him for doing that great arrangement. Then they also did a dance routine, which again was by us, which they did a great job with. The energy was there. I had commented earlier that when they did that same dance routine at Virginia and North Carolina, that the dance routine was too long. I didn't feel that way. I felt that the energy for the dance routine was very good throughout. So once again, I'll give props to Virginia Union. Not quite as good a sound as Norfolk yet, but you can see the youth there, but you can see the potential there that's coming on board. So I'm excited to see what Miss Cousins, Facia Cousins, is going to do with that band. Just the FYI, Facia Cousins, before she took over Virginia Union, was the band director at Thomas Jefferson High School, who her last year there was the second place band at Nationals.
Wow.
2011. So they've got a powerhouse in that seat there to do something.
That's what's up. So tell us about Elizabeth City, and then we'll go to our last commercial break, and then we'll talk about we'll talk about Word on the Street and our 2015 Honda Battle of the Bands lineup.
Okay. Elizabeth City. So two things are happening there, Joe. I've talked a lot about with Elizabeth City, and they're consistent. That they'll be powerful here, and powerful here. That didn't seem to be an issue at all. It was just power.
Oh, wow.
Now, let me clarify that, though, realizing that they didn't really do a drill because, once again, they're inside. So there was never a situation where people are turning in different directions. They're basically facing straight ahead the entire time. So that may have been a non-issue there. Now, here's another thing, commenting on the whole thing about small bands. I really appreciate you for having me be on the show because you are making me watch a lot of different bands. And before, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's like this, but I tend to like the bands that I know and dislike the bands that I don't.
Yeah.
Go about your band, or if your band is small, there's no way possible that you could have the best drum majors in the country. It's just not possible.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Or fam. But, dude, I'm learning so much by doing this and watching State. I will say, and I hope that this gets back to them, they have some of the best drum majors I've seen. I mean, the stuff that they were doing, man, they were just tight. They were very uniform. And I've seen a lot of drum majors, but they were just doing some really creative moves. I thought that everything that it really complemented the show. The only thing that they broke into the dance routine, they were doing something completely different than the rest of the band at the beginning of the dance routine, which I really don't think helped the dance routine. The band's doing one thing, you're doing something completely else. It's kind of like Gremlin dancing and they have their dancers up there doing something different.
Right.
Other than that, the drum majors are awesome. Pretty good energy. Elizabeth City State, though, and I said this before, they have now crossed the line. So before, a couple of years back, it was about they were a soft band, and every now and then you hear something. Then now a little bit more power. Oh, wow, that's powerful, but it's not consistent. But now they're over the line. Now they're powerful, but they need to work on blend. You know.
Okay. Because that's something. That's something I know that we talked about, and playing together. When it blends together, like the Morgans or whatnot, that output is so nice. You know what I'm saying? It makes you immediately a fan, so to speak.
Exactly. It's one thing you can't only be concerned with your individuals putting out volume. You also have to be concerned with them putting out a clean articulation, because doesn't articulate properly. What happens is every note that you play, this note will be sharp, this note will be flat, this note will be sharp, this note will be in tune. And that's happening in between two trumpet players that are playing together. So even if you're in tune, your notes are like going all over the place. Versus if you articulate tune already, then it only is going to enhance that sound. And that's kind of what's happening here, the articulation there. There's also a lot of problems with balance. Like there's a lot of times where, let's say, the low brass will take over the melody. And the low brass section is pretty powerful. But the nature of the trumpet is that it doesn't really matter how powerful your trumpet section is, how powerful your trombone section is. Let me try that again. Yes, it does. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter how powerful your trombone section is. If the trumpets are playing chords on top of it at full volume, unless you're Jackson State,
right,
you're going to hear the trumpets. That's just it. Your ear is going to go for the trumpet. And there were some occasions in there where the low brass, the trombones and baritones would have that melody, and they were playing it pretty powerfully for it to come through, but the trumpets were still playing at a volume that was in the way, instead of getting out of the way and allow that low brass sound to come through. So
well, that's outstanding. So I have to ask you, just like we asked Bernard, who was the most impressive college band that you saw there at the Battle of the Bands?
I would say Norfolk, but not by a blowout. I really thought, in particular, Virginia Union did a good job, but I would give it to Norfolk.
Okay. Any other analysis there from the Battle of the Bands there? I think we got a call. Oh, I think there's Bernard calling back in. He got disconnected for a second there. Bernard, is this you again, man?
It is me, and I just had to get myself a little Chipotle, good old burrito.
I heard
one
that,
my
man.
order to get on the show.
Yeah, man, it's pretty late over there for you guys. I know y'all got to be moving on, getting prepared for tomorrow. So you say Norfolk, and I can't remember, but now what did you say for the overall?
I will definitely agree with Norfolk State, but again, it was definitely not by a long shot. In particular, like I said, Union was very clean, and Elizabeth City had a lot of energy. And I got to give a shout-out to those particular programs being run by strong female band directors. So great jobs for Union and Elizabeth City on that front.
Yeah, that's actually, I have to definitely give you props on that. We were just talking about that last week. We definitely need to get more of a female voice on the network. I know we got Christy's voice on there, and then I know Christine from Halftime Magazine, she's been pretty cool about stuff. I asked her to send her too. So we definitely need to get more of a female representation here on the network. 718-664-6025. We're wrapping up here in our second segment right before we go to our word on the street. But definitely it sounds like a overall really, really, really nice event. Now, is this an annual event, or are you guys going to be doing this next year?
Yes, this was actually the 5th annual Kendall Classic Battle of the Bands. This first time we actually had 3 collegiate groups perform, but we typically have had at least 1 or 2, and somewhere between 10 to 12 high school bands that participate. This is the second one under my watch as the band director. And I just got to give a shout-out to the grand champion of the event, Greensville County High School from Emporia, Virginia. Shout-out to the G-Force. Great job again. Definitely one of the best-sounding high-stepping groups, and good luck for them at the National High-Step event this week, along with IC Norfolk, who also participated in the event.
Okay, that's what's up, man. We sure appreciate that. We'll definitely be getting contact with you, Rashad. Definitely make sure that we get the information so we can do our Chopping It Up episode. And next year we try to at least get more commentary from the event, or even see if we can get the Marching Podcast to help out. I know that we definitely here at the network want to get the High Steppers competition out here in California. That's kind of like my goal. I want to transplant or do a complete copy and paste over here in California with that event. So I think the more people that we know and get in contact with here, that'll come true. But we sure appreciate you being on the show with us tonight. You're welcome to stay here with us when we go to our last segment here. We go to the commercial break. I'll put you guys on hold before our transition music goes out. You're listening to Week 10 here on the 90 Degree Show. We're going to be back with our last segment here on Word on the Street before we sign out for the night. So as they say, keep it locked.
Hey, this is John Pickens, CEO and founder of Simply Dope Creative, and you're listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network.
What if there was a Facebook for bands? Wait a minute, there is. Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org is a social network for HBCU show bands. You can create your own profile and post videos, photos, and comments on Bandhead.org. Need somewhere to post events, audition schedules, job postings? Check out Bandhead.org. Are you recruiting for talent? Go to Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org, a social network for bands.
Chopping It Up is a podcast of one-on-one interviews with positive role models that have a connection through music and or education. Chopping It Up is all about inspiring our youth for a great future and providing a roadmap on how to get there. We also chop it up to give insight to anyone looking for information or hope in their endeavors. Chop it up with us on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern at blogtalkradio.com/marchingpodcast. Chopping It Up, changing the world through positive interaction.
This is Tyrone McCullum, graduate of South Carolina State University Marching 101 Band of 2006, representing the Marching8to5.com, and I am listening to the 90 Degree Show on the Marching Podcast.
Back a little bit of Elizabeth City there, one of their halftime shows this year. 718-664-6025. You're listening to the 90 Degree Show. This is week 10, and we're in our final segment here, our word on the street, and had to give Tyrone here bringing us back to the break while he's there in the chat room. But again, 718-664-6025. You're welcome to call in our final segment before we close out for the night. Wanted to ask you guys both here, since we got another mind with us. We have the lineup revealed to us for the 2015 Honda Battle of the Bands, our beloved Super Bowl there in the Georgia Dome over there in Atlanta. The lineup, for all the people who do not know, it would be Jackson State, Southern University, Talladega College, North Carolina A&T, Alabama State, Tennessee State, Howard University, and Bethune-Cookman University. I am excited, and a lot of people are pleased with that lineup. You have a lot of the storied, kind of talked about, hot, more recent, contemporary, on top kind of bands right now. Everybody's matching up, and it should be a pretty good matchup there. I asked you, Bernard, since you a guest on the network tonight, what do you think about the 8 schools that are going to be represented in the Honda this year?
First of all, I'm just going to easily put this one out. This has to be the best lineup Honda has had in recent memory. I am definitely looking forward to all the performances. I am going to say this, though. I'm not going to here, and I'm not going to bash Howard like a lot of people have, because they've been the one thing that some people have had a lot of question marks with. Yes, they've had some trying times throughout the years and moments, but I will also say, particularly in the year 2010, Howard had a really nice sound, and I expect them to be prepared, and I expect them to have a good show for that event. So I'm asking people, do not sleep on Howard for this event. Everyone else, I pretty much know what's going to happen in a lot of these cases. Minus Talladega, it will be interesting to see if they can actually put together an actual field show, a full field performance. And I know there's a lot of people looking forward to see the answer to that question. I have to go back to the Battle of the Bands that happened at the beginning of this year. Talladega, basically, in my opinion, just kind of had a few moments where it almost was like the stands on the field. They were just calling out songs and playing. So it will be interesting to see if they will put together a full show for Honda. That's what I'm waiting for. So those two particular groups. Everyone else, I've seen them before, and I'm looking forward to seeing them again. But those two, I'm most interested to see their shows.
Okay, Rashad, what do you think, man? What do you think about the lineup?
In agreement with Bernard there, definitely the best lineup. I mean, so far. I mean, if I had to personally choose which bands would be at the Honda, my list would almost exactly look like that. I'm not sure I would have had Alabama State on it, but that's not any knocks in Alabama State. They're a fantastic band. I probably would have chosen, like a lot of people, I probably would have switched out Howard with Edward Waters. I think would have been a better choice. But I'm just kind of happy that Hampton wasn't chosen this year because seriously, I would hate to be going through the stuff that Howard is going through right now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, oh man, we made it to Honda, and you go on the field to see what people are saying about it, and there's a whole topic about the fact of why what a gut buster. But I like the rest of the world, I'm just kind of shocked because we just did the show about Howard, and we talked on the tinniness and the just not being in tuneness. So you know, I hope as far as Bernard's comment is concerned, I hope that they will prepare and get that back together. I mean, just get in tune, and I think they might be, they may do very well. Who knows? As far as Talladega is concerned, Talladega is the one band that deserves to go but doesn't deserve to go, and I think that people can resonate with that. From the standpoint of doing a show, yes, it's like, do they really deserve to go from that standpoint? But from the standpoint of being one of the most talked about bands in the country right now, absolutely they deserve. If you're talking about bringing people to the Dome, Talladega is definitely one of those bands that band heads want to see because everybody's been talking about them. But the question is it going to go down on the field or is it going to go down in the back? And I don't even know that that's going to happen because Honda's been so strict. But who knows? The rest of the bands, my God, Tennessee State, A&T, Bethune-Cookman, Alabama State, Jackson State, and Southern. I mean, my Lord. Any one of those bands pretty much, could possibly walk away with it, just depending on what they do. I mean, any one of them could, so it's fantastic to see Southern back in the house after I think they went 1 year years ago and just have never decided to come back, particularly under the leadership they have right now.
Right.
I haven't Southern band as good as the band that they have right now. They sound incredible. Unfortunately, Southern is not going to have the opportunity to do the best thing. Their best stuff is in the stands. Although they are a great marching band, their best stuff is in the stands. And, of course, that's not going to matter at Honda. So it's going to be up to them to produce a show that's not only clean but also interesting. And, of course, the other thing is the nature of the Honda is going to take away their halftime score as well. So that's going to,
Right.
But know that you were excited and have already given the Jackson State the win because I'm sure they're going to make a box.
Yes.
And, both sides, and so therefore they should deserve to win.
Yes. It's going to be like I'm tripped out there. They're going to make a outstanding kaleidoscope. It's going to be an Atlanta Falcon, and then it's going to turn into the Atlanta Hawk. And then it's going to turn into the little hockey team, the Wild or whatever they got. It's just going to keep turning. It's just going to be an unbelievable display, like you looking at a little wheel. But I'm excited because what'd you say, man?
I said, no, you're talking about Southern. Jackson is going to go for one box.
Right. That is true. Like, that's one thing, I'm going to be excited to see those drills. I'm excited just because it's kind of like the top four, very similar to, again, I'm relating it again to sports. We've got the college football this year, and they've got to figure out the four teams. Jackson State, Southern, A&T, and Bethune-Cookman. That's been like those are the bands, they have the size, they have the prestige, they have the tradition, and then they're still really good this year. It's like something that we kind of want to see. This is definitely going to be a good premiere, like you guys say, of a good judge of like the best bands. So I'm really excited to see those 4. Howard, I mean, like you said, like y'all already put it out there about what folks have been saying about Howard. But yeah, we just were talking about how different they were compared to Florida A&M. So with that, and then who knows if it's a money thing where you're gonna get so many tickets because of Howard, or because you're gonna get so much of a finance because of Howard. I mean, I don't know. But I mean, just same thing, kind of similar. They had Morehouse there, I think, last year. Morehouse has a decent band too, but still, you'd be surprised. You'd be like, oh, Morehouse is there. So it's all good. Bama State still definitely, like we said, I guess it's kind of those things, the all-star snubs, who should be there, who shouldn't be there. That kind of rolls into my next question. I asked you first, Bernard. Was there a school that you wish that was there, or your school that you would rather to see? And you don't have to take out one of the schools that's there, but if you could add a school, what school would you add?
I'm going to have to echo Rashad's on Edward Waters. I really enjoy their sound. Shout out to the fact I'm a woodwind guy, saxophone guy. They actually decided to add a few woodwinds in the mix. But they play very strong. They play very clean. They don't try to overdo it for their size, and I enjoy their shows. I've never been too keen on the large dance girl thing, but everything else about their presentation I enjoy.
What about you, Rashad? Would you put Edward Waters too?
Yeah, Edward Waters, and the other band that I would like to see would be Atlanta A&T, because band that sounds like they're playing in a band that can do a dance routine, and then after the middle of the dance routine, while landing on the ground, play a run without putting their instruments to their mouth.
Shout out to Drumline, a new beat.
I'm excited. I got to check this out. I have to look on my DVR to find it. I was so expecting it to be like national, like it was with Nick Cannon. But somebody's like, oh man, it came out. I saw Christy. Shout out to Christy. On the fifth quarter, or not on the fifth quarter, but I have her on Facebook, Christy Walker, our beloved Christy Walker. She's saying that she saw the movie twice, and I didn't read her entire post because it was right before we got on the air. But basically, from the gist of it, I got is that folks are super hating on it, and they don't really need to. I want to get into it more next week, because I want to see it before I be critical, because you know me, I say something stupid or ignorant or whatever. But I definitely want to put this on the till for next week to talk about. But I do have one more question for you guys. No, there are no CIAA schools, and I saw that this was another topic there on the 5th about that. Should there be a CIAA schools, or should there be, and I know this is another similar topic with the sports joint, should it be like the best of each conference, or should it be like 4 invitationals, I guess 4 non-conference or at-large bids, and 4 from each conference, like the best from the SEAC, the best from the MEAC, best from the CIAA, best from the SWAC. But no, I'll start with you, man. What do you think should each conference be represented every year?
In my opinion, personally, I don't even think the conferences should really matter in the first place. I really do think we need to see the absolute best in bands, particularly for the top 4, maybe 5 or 6 slots. But I do think there needs to be room for exposure to different programs out there that may be top quality but may not have the presence. We should be able to include those programs. But I don't think the conferences should really matter. We definitely need to see the best. And maybe, like I said, those surprises like those Edward Waters out there, like the years, particularly some of the stronger Virginia State groups out there. There needs to be some surprises in there. But conference should not matter, in my opinion.
Okay. Rashad, what do you think, man?
I'm glad Bernard just mentioned Virginia State because other than Atlanta A&T, that would have been another band I really wanted to see. But this time it's actually serious because Virginia State, like at the North Carolina Virginia battle, Virginia State was the best sounding band there. So I hate that they're not there. But I think a good combination would work. Maybe they could do it if they feel like Honda's just going to keep going on and on and on. Maybe a good 4-year pattern where for maybe 3 years they select the top bands in each conference. And then on the fourth year, then they just go for whoever is the best band each time. Because I love the whoever is the best band thing that they're doing now. And I'm pretty sure that their attendance is going to be higher than ever. At least as far as band heads are concerned, everybody's talking about it and so many people want to go, versus people saying, yeah, maybe I'm not sure.
Right.
I like the fact that you get the chance, where you have seen bands from lots of different conferences, because then you get the opportunity to see bands for example, like a Miles College. That's another example of a band that, Mike should have had an opportunity to go. Well, everybody doesn't know about Miles College. So if you're talking about the best bands may not necessarily be the most popular bands, So, see them or see some other bands that Elizabeth City State, that's another one that maybe not this year, but maybe next year might be at a place where they would have the opportunity to go. But if they don't have the following, at least from the national level, they would never have a chance. But if it's not down to, okay, we got to have 2 from the CIAA, or at least 1 from the CIAA, they would probably have a good chance of going.
Right.
I would like, with that, a lot of those bands that are picked this year, I like to point out, at least what I think, a lot of those bands, particularly North Carolina A&T, Talladega with all the presence they're doing, Southern Jackson, these are bands that are very social media heavy. They get a lot of play with recordings, a lot of play, a lot of views on their videos. So they're going to have the presence in the following because they put themselves and promote themselves with technology these days. And a lot of these other schools, and there are some schools we've talked about here on this podcast tonight, could benefit from more social media, some more video presence.
But basically, Norfolk State's going to be in it next year, right, with the drone. And the
hey, you never know what's going to happen these days.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I definitely, and I kind of rolled. You guys have kind of answered that question. I was going to say snubs or, someone, you guys would like to see. I'd like to definitely probably see Miles myself be there just because, they've made like a steady progression to me. These last couple of years we've been doing the show, it seems like, they've kept consistent or got better. And definitely Elizabeth City or Livingstone. I haven't seen Livingstone this year, but seeing those bands or even seeing the Morgans, you know what I'm saying? Seeing that and the Jackson States, making sure they have the full spectrum. I guess the hardest thing, if I could like squeeze in between both of what you guys said, I guess it's hard to judge that every year. Like we could come up with a metric to say, okay, every conference or everyone should be represented based on something. But then I guess unless we did the show or unless we came up with the list, that would be the Marching Podcast. Hint, hint to anybody out there. We would have to come up with the best overall 4 at-large bids, you know what I'm saying? We would have to pick to say, okay, yeah, Morgan was good enough or someone was good enough. It would have to be some type of process or some type of board taking it away from the fans, so to speak. But I think it could happen, though. Really happy that it's even there or, it's even in existence for us to talk about. But we come to the end of our show, Bernard. We appreciate you being on the show. Is there anything else that you want to let our listeners know about before we close out?
Just continue to support Kings Fork High School Bands. You can follow us on Instagram, KingsFork_bands. You can find us on Facebook, like our page. Again, Kings Fork High School Bands. Other than that, thank you all for the opportunity to be on the show this evening, and hope you all come out and support.
That's really, really cool, man. Just like you said, you got those social media conscious things. I was even trying to get, even brothers in my fraternity chapter get more social media conscious. But that's awesome that you have all those things. And for all those people listening tonight, you have the information about Kingsforth High School. Thanks again, too, and much appreciative for you calling on the show tonight. Have some really good insights, really good analysis, and you're free to call in anytime, man. Really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, everyone make sure you check out Bethune versus Norfolk Thursday night. I'll be out there.
All right, sounds good. We definitely put that on the schedule. That's definitely, and hey, it'll be Thursday, so we'll definitely make sure we have some type of video by next Sunday. So again, thanks again, man.
All right, take it easy.
All right, Rashad, I'll go ahead and give you the floor. Anything coming up or anything on the way out before we close the show for tonight?
Man, pushing his social media, so he's trying to add King Forks and Honda next year.
I know, right?
But let's see, and also one other thing, shout out to the drum line of the Mississippi City State. I didn't mention them, but for choosing the right drum heads that actually work really well inside. That work for them in the stadium. So I wanted to make sure I get that out. All right, as far as block band is concerned, of course we are just going crazy. We've got Christmas music right now. So if your band program Christmas music, call us now. If your band director listening, call now, because the time for you to learn this music is coming nigh. You will have a very short time to learn it. So contact us at 919-650, 19698-250 to get your Christmas music, or email us at blockbandmusic@gmail.com. In the meantime, we've just continued to try to give back as much as we can. I told you that we sponsored 100 for Hampton, which gave just right about $13 to Hampton's band program yesterday. We sponsored the Grand Championship Trophy at the North Carolina Show Style Band Directors Association State Championship today, Durham, North Carolina, which is about a third of the North Carolina competing. And the trophy went again to 71st High School, just like we did at the 8th band. So, you know, I just 5 trophies and give them to him. To James Davis. Let me see here. So we got that. We will be in Nationals this coming weekend in Atlanta to sponsor the first place trophy there. 71st will not be there, so I'll have the chance to give the trophy to someone else.
That's cool.
But we're just excited, man. We're continuing to put things out there and give back as much as we can for all these incredible band programs.
That's outstanding, Rashad. Love what you do. Love block band music and publishing, man. I'll holler at you this week. We definitely want to do the ladies edition of the show soon. We definitely got a good one coming up because we have not done Bethune this year. And I think, as he said, Bethune and Norfolk, we should definitely see what's good with that next week. We check out the schedule, blog the number 4.themarchingpodcast.com for whatever we have scheduled there. We'll definitely make amends to that. But have a good week, Brother Rashad, and I'll holler at you, man.
Okay.
All right, guys, and thank you so much for the folks in the chat room. Shout out to you, Tyrone. I see you out there. Appreciate it. Much love to Marching 8 to 5. You guys check out marching8to5.com for great HBCU band show style videos. That's all the time for you we have tonight. Oh, you know what? If you are interested in becoming a sponsor or a patron to the Marching Podcast, please contact the show and we'll give you the criteria so we can start to pub your business using our platform. We'll play your commercial, we'll post your website on our blog, and we'll help you send out your information through social media. So contact us so we can help build your business. That's all we have for the show tonight. You're free to call in and chat with us at any time throughout the week on Twitter or Facebook, or hit up our website and contact us. Thank you for all of your love and support. The show is doing well, and it's all because of you, and we'll continue to make those augmentations for a better show in the future. That's all we have, all the time we have for the show tonight. Check out the website and donate what's in your heart to themarchingpodcast.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Thanks to you for listening. Oh, and we got the YouTube page. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Thanks to us for listening. And remember, the lectures you deliver may be very fine and true, but I'd rather get my lessons by observing what you do. See you next time. Have a good week.